It's Stephanie Liu, and welcome to another episode of Digital Confetti, where we share tips and strategies on how you can repurpose your content and sprinkle it all across the internet so people can find out how amazing and awesome you are. So here's a question for you. What if there was a resource that gave you everything that you needed to outsource repetitive tasks in your day-to-day business? How much time would that save you? Just imagine having access to training materials, videos, cheat sheets, tutorials, agendas, step-by-step processes, and top-notch support. Listen, if you're ready to scale your business and level up your live stream, there's one vital next step that you need to do in order to grow your channel, and that is hire a rockstar virtual assistant. Yes. So get ready because we're going to dive deeper into the world of outsourcing. So if you're here, go ahead and let me know where you're tuning from. I'm here in beautiful, sunny San Diego. It's kind of gloomy, but it's still working out pretty well. So having said that, the question that I want to ask you, right? The question that I want to ask you is, when it comes to growing your channel, if there was one task that you would want to offload, what would that be? What would you like to share with someone else to take over? I don't know if you know this, but for me personally, I have 3 different shows. I have Lights, Camera, Live, Digital Confetti, and Showrunner Secrets from the Set. It's so helpful for me to have my executive assistant and virtual assistant when it comes to booking guests, repurposing the content into blog posts, creating the 1-minute social media videos, and so many things. And honestly, if I didn't have them by my side, we probably wouldn't have that many shows to have supporting. So shout out to our good friend, Jeff Kolofsky, tuning in from Colombia. Hey, what's up? And then we also have, Mitch Jackson. Mitch Jackson, so happy to have you here. I think you're really going to enjoy this episode, especially your Legal Minds Mastermind crew, because they're going to learn so much. All right. So having said that, I have worked with VAs, interns, executive assistants over the last 5 years to really grow the Lights, Camera, Live brand. And that's why I am so honored to welcome Nathan Hirsch to Digital Confetti. Nathan Hirsch, if you haven't heard of him before, he is an entrepreneur, an expert in remote hiring, and most recently, he co-founded FreeeUp in 2015 with an initial $5,000 investment and scaled it to $12 million per year in revenue. Think about that. And not only that, though, it was later acquired in 2019. And Nathan, if I remember correctly, that's probably when you and I first met. It's probably way, way, way back when I first had you on the show. Today, Nathan is a co-founder of Outsource School. Yes, write that down. Outsource School, a company working to educate entrepreneurs like you and me on how to effectively hire and scale with virtual assistants through formulas and playbooks. I'm telling you, this is one episode you definitely want to bookmark. Nathan has appeared on over 300 podcasts. He's a social media personality, and he loves sharing advice on scaling remote businesses. So honestly, if this is something that you're thinking about, listen, it's February of 2021. If you're watching this live, at this point, you've already gone through January, and you're already thinking to yourself, okay, Q1 is almost over. What do I need to do in order to take my channel to the next level? So having said that, let's go ahead and bring Nathan onto the show. Nathan, how are you?
Stephanie, I am doing great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun to have you here. It's, I get a lot of questions from people. We're in the middle of the pandemic. I'm juggling school, 3 different shows, and everyone's always asking, how do you do it? And I was like, listen, I'm not Superwoman. I don't do it all. I have a team. And so whenever they ask me about that, I'm like, this is why I need to bring on Nathan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I have VAs that do everything. I mean, going back all the way to my Amazon business, to FreeeUp, to Outsource School. And I try to get people out of the mentality that your VAs are just your data entry or your secretaries. Like, I have VAs that do high-level sales calls. If people go to Outsource School right now, they can book a call with my rockstar team. They do our bookkeeping, our billing, our lead generation, our customer service. Like, all of that can get done with virtual assistants. They even do live coaching calls in our private paid Facebook group. So there's a lot that you can do with them, and you just have to open up your mind and obviously have good systems and processes.
Absolutely. So again, everyone that's tuning in, start writing down, because these are all the different ideas that you could do to not only grow your channel. Like, yes, you could outsource little things like, okay, I need someone to create the thumbnail, someone to write the title, the description, and search for keywords. But he just gave you a quick tip. If you're looking to leverage brand partnerships, sponsorships, any of that, why not create a system where you can have a virtual assistant take that on for you so that way you could scale your business? Exciting.
Yeah. So one thing that I did for 4 years straight at FreeeUp is I would wake up every day to a list of contact information from my virtual assistant. And I'd spend 5 to 10 minutes reaching out to those people and then move on with my day. And it would include 3 blogs to reach out to get potential backlinks, 3 podcasts, 3 influencers. This was before Clubhouse, but if it was now, maybe 3 people running Clubhouse rooms. Like, you can expand it however you want for lead generation and partnerships. But because it was just in my inbox every day when I woke up, I could then do that outreach on social media or email very quick, very easy. Even if I did nothing else the rest of the day, I did pretty solid outreach, which is more than most entrepreneurs do. And if you're doing that 5 days a week, that consistency is going to add up. You're going to wake up in a year and be like, man, I connected with a lot of people. My business was in a lot of places. So I love just creative ways like that to get VAs into your routine. That makes it easier for you, which makes your output a lot more.
Yes. And so we're going to talk about, like, when you're hiring a VA, things to be mindful of, right? Because it's not just like, oh, okay, here's a video, go have at it, right? There's a way for you to build your team. And Nathan obviously knows a lot when it comes to leadership. But before we go on, I want to give a quick shout out to Ariel Vieira, who is the founder and host of Urbanist. And he's saying that he's been following our advice, starting to utilize freelancers to build the Urbanist brand. I don't know if you've ever met him before, Nathan, but he does these live streams, walking tours across the streets of, like, New York, and he does these historical presentations. He goes into museums and parks. Like, it's a whole entire thing. He's absolutely amazing.
Wow, that's cool. I got to check that out.
Yes. All right. So when we're talking about outsourcing and when we're talking about hiring VAs, the big question that most people haven't really thought about is how would you actually categorize your VAs, because they're not all one size fits all. They have different skill sets. So how would you actually explain that? What are your tips?
So for hiring in general, I like to divide it up into followers, doers, and experts. And when I say virtual assistant, I'm just talking about the followers. That means that you can find someone that has years of experience, 5 years of customer service experience, 5 years of social media experience, whatever it is, but they're there to follow your systems, your processes. If you don't have systems and processes, you shouldn't hire a virtual assistant. You've got the doers, the graphic designers, the writers, the video editors. You're not teaching a graphic designer how to be a graphic designer, but they're not consulting with you either. They're there to do that one thing at a high level, and they probably do that same thing 8 to 10 hours a day. And then you got the experts, who are your agencies, your consultants. They bring strategy, they bring their own systems to the table. I want to stay away from the experts for a second and kind of divide up the doers and the followers, because this is very relevant to social media content and getting your content out there. So with the followers, with the virtual assistants, you're investing time, energy, and money into training them, which means they have to be consistent going forward. You're not going to hire a VA that's 15 hours a week one week, and then 5 hours the next, and then 10 hours, and then you don't use them one week, and then they're back to 10 hours. They're going to go find another client that's more consistent. You don't have to hire them full time, but whatever amount of hours you're hiring them for, it should be consistent day in and day out. Now, with the doers, you don't have to do that. What I like to do with the doers is, over time, build a Rolodex of reliable doers that I can go to, because every time you need a video clip cut up, you don't want to go post on FreeeUp or Upwork and start interviewing people. You want to have these people ready to go that you can go to. So I have 3 graphic designers, I have 3 video editors, I have 3 writers. And whenever a project comes up, I post it in a Slack group chat. They have other clients. I respect they have other clients, but whoever can get to it first gives me a due date at a due time, and I approve it, and then they get going. And the way that you can set this up is, let's say that we record a podcast right now and I want to promote it on every channel. I would have a VA who's working, let's say, 10 hours a week, social media VA. Their job is to post on every channel. And then I'd have my non-consistent, the doers, who, once the podcast is done, I throw it to them. Whoever can get to it cuts it up into clips, who pass it to the VA who's consistent every week. And that's just one example to kind of put in perspective.
I love how you're explaining it, because it really is, it's like a hierarchy and it's a structure. And I feel like even for Lights Camera Live, our agency, it first goes to the executive assistant, because I've given her that title and that role. I'm like, you have control over my emails. You can speak on my behalf. You even have access to my calendar. So if a guest needs to reschedule, we could easily do that, right? And then once the show is actually done, because RESTREAM allows you to download the original file, we would put it like into Descript, and then she will hand it off to the VA, who will create like these social media videos, create the social media posts, and schedule it. So I want you guys to be thinking about this, because if you're getting burnt out from creating content, from live streaming, and you don't have time to hop on those brand sponsorship calls, you have to really think about, how much is my time worth, right? Because if I'm charging a consulting fee for me to consult, but I'm sitting there and I'm mucking around in Canva, that's not a smart idea. Anything else that you'd want to add to that, Nathan?
Yeah, I mean, there's always exceptions to that rule, right? Like, you might have a full-time graphic designer. Not every business needs that, but there are certain ones that do. And you might have an expert on staff who can, maybe they bring their own agency to the table, but their agency has those followers, so they do some of that for you. So there's no right or wrong way to go about it. There's pros and cons to everything. You can hire one person who does everything and you pay top dollar, but they do it their way. You can divide it up, which I like to do, which ends up saving you money, and also have systems that don't just stop. Like, let's say you hired one social media consultant and their job was also to post everything. If they get sick or whatever it is where they can't work a week, nothing happens. If I have 3 video editors and one of them can't work, one of the other 2 will just grab it, do it, and then hopefully I have multiple virtual assistants as well. So there's lots of different ways to set it up.
So yeah, I love the fact that you call your doers, or they're all on your Rolodex, because I'm the same way. As a remote live video producer, there might be an event that I have to produce, and I want to have a backup producer. And if that one person is not available, I want to have 2 other people that I could tap into and be like, hey, I need someone, and I don't want to have to go on Upwork or Fiverr to interview them, because I want to find them reliable. So Nathan, here's a quick question from Mitch Jackson, and he's saying, advantages to using multiple VAs. Is there a magic number that you recommend? We've already talked about different advantages, but is there a magic number when you're doing FreeeUp that you're like, this is it? Like, when I hit 5, it was like, whoa, so many possibilities.
So I'll start off with what you don't want to do. You don't want to find a VA that you really like and then load them up with everything. And that's the classic entrepreneur mistake. I see that all the time. It's incredibly risky. If something happens with that VA, your entire business gets set back. And the beginning part of that question also has to do with your budget. If you go to outsourceschool.com/VA calculator, we have a tool that you can actually figure out how many VAs you can actually afford by plugging in the numbers in your business. Because obviously, if you can only afford one virtual assistant 10 hours a week, having one virtual assistant at 10 hours a week can be better than not having any VAs and doing it yourself. Even though if that one VA can't work, you're back to doing it yourself. Ideally, you're still on the right track, and you can always add more VAs down the line. To me, I like diversifying, but I like to diversify within reason. If I'm getting 10 emails a day, I'm not going to hire 5 customer service reps. But at the same time, for the most important parts of my business, where like billing for FreeeUp or customer service for FreeeUp or fulfillment of orders on Amazon, those things can't just depend on one person. Ideally, you have some variation. There's no magic number that just applies to every business, because every business is different in terms of volume and amount they can afford and stuff like that. But you do want to have multiple VAs in place for the stuff that's essential to your business. I can't hear you.
Thank you. Yes. If you've been following along, we're talking about growing your channel, growing and scaling your business, right? By leveraging and building a team of outsourcing virtual assistants and all the things. And there's no other person that I would love to have talk about this than Nathan, because he's done it, and he's done it multiple times, and he's done so much. In fact, do you want to tell them a little bit about FreeeUp? Are you allowed to do that or no?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell them about FreeeUp. I mean, FreeeUp is a marketplace for VAs and freelancers. I mean, the cool thing about FreeeUp is not only did we start it with $5,000 and scale it using virtual assistants, but when we sold it, and it was an 8-figure business when we sold it, there was no office, no US employees. VAs were running the entire business from sales calls to billing to customer service. Every single part of it was done with virtual assistants. And I've only been to the Philippines one time on a mini vacation. You don't have to be going back and forth. We didn't have an office in the Philippines. Everything was remote. So yeah, I mean, FreeeUp still a great marketplace. I hire my VAs there. And really now with Outsource School, I'm focused on teaching entrepreneurs the exact systems that I use to hire all these different high-level roles and interviewing and onboarding to make sure that you're hiring rock stars 99% of the time, because firing people and turnover, that sets businesses back, and that can really destroy a small business.
That is such a good point, because when I had first started my business, coming from the agency background, I had always had interns at the agency. And so we would hire them from colleges. We would go on campus and we would bring them on board. But then what happens, when they're the junior that you hired and then they're a senior and then they graduate? And I was like, crap, I would have to go through it all over again. So I love the idea of having a virtual assistant and having these SOPs, standard operating procedures, and these manuals to really do all this. Now, Mike Alton, he's saying that it's such a mindset shift when you want to grow your team. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because at some point when you're a content creator, when you are an entrepreneur, or this is your passion project, you then have to like move over into, and now I'm a CEO. So what would you say about that?
Yeah, and I want to touch upon your point. So you mentioned hiring interns. My mentality is that 90% plus of the businesses out there, especially small businesses, especially startups, should not be hiring interns. And the only situation that you should be hiring an intern is if you have lots of different people already working in your company and you have an actual intern program that's leading to a full-time job. And the intern program is really there to benefit the intern, not to benefit your business. And because investing in an intern, it's like investing in an employee or a VA that is going to leave or potentially leave or have a high percentage of leaving. So if you invest all this time, energy, and money into an intern, and most likely they're not going to work with your company even 2 years from now, that is a huge waste. That time, money, effort should be put right back into a virtual assistant. And we go through this with companies. So Connor and I, we own another company called HG Ventures. Connor's my business partner, and we go into small companies for minority equity and consult with them. And one of the first things you do is if they have any interns that are doing like critical things in their business, we get rid of that quickly. We either hire that intern as an employee or we move it over to a VA or whatever that owner wants to do. So
see, that's so smart. Like the reason why I'm like, oh my God, he's right. He's right. Because again, I was trying to apply the mentality from having been on the agency industry side, because normally those interns, we would then turn around and offer them a full-time position within the agency. When I had first started, I was like, yeah, I could offer you full-time, but I don't have like the fancy packages. I don't have like the benefits, the healthcare stuff, the PTO, all of that stuff. They would rather find someone else for that. So when I shifted over into VAs, it made so much more sense. And I was fortunate with the fact that those interns had already made those SOPs. So yeah, let's go back to mindset. What are some additional mindset things that people have to do? Because they're thinking, and I'm telling you, they're thinking this like, only I can do it. I'm the best at this. If I let them go, oh, they're going to make a mistake. What would you say to that? Like, what's your rebuttal when you're coaching and consulting these companies?
Yeah, so there's a great quote by Alex Sharfin, who's big in the ClickFunnels community. He says, if you think you're the only one who can do what you do in your business, I have news for you. You're not that special. And that's always a quote that kind of resonated with me. And it's true. Really, like anything that you're doing in your company, there's someone out there that can do it better than you, that'll bring their A game, that loves doing it more than you. Or even if they can do it 95% of you and you get to spend your time on higher, bigger level tasks, that's also a win. So I think that mentality is important, and just a mentality that you have to trust other people. Like there's very few solo 7-figure, 8-figure entrepreneurs out there. Like that just doesn't exist. The only way to scale is to hire. And I'll even flip it that hiring is one of the core skill sets you have to learn as an entrepreneur. I always tell entrepreneurs, like, stay away from spending your time on tactics, like learning how to run Facebook ads or like whatever the latest marketing tactic is or whatever. You can hire people that know that can do that for you. That's easy. You have to learn core fundamental stuff that helps you in business. You have to understand like how to build a funnel, and that might change, like the tactics of that funnel might change over time. But if you don't understand the concept of a funnel, that's an issue. Same thing with sales. How do you build a sales pipeline? Like very important, even if you're not doing all the sales. But to me, hiring is that skill set, because if you learn how to hire as a young entrepreneur or early on in your entrepreneurial career, everything you do going forward becomes 100 times easier, because instead of a project coming up and you're like, hey, I got to figure out how to do it, it becomes, how do I find the right person to do that for me?
Yes. Oh man, if I could have sound effects of like applause, that would be it right there. I find that most people, when they struggle with hiring a VA because they don't know how to hand that off, or they don't even know how to manage conflict. And here's the thing, conflict is healthy. Conflict is just like, hey, is there another way that you could teach me this so that I could fully understand what it is that you need me to actually do, versus saying like, oh, well, they messed up the first time, so I'll just add that back onto my plate. Hiring and knowing the essential skills, the skill sets that you need is so important. And I agree with you so much, because there are people that are chasing after shiny object syndrome. They're like, oh, now I need to learn this. Now I need to learn that. And it's like, dude, you need to finish writing that damn proposal and send it out and learn how to negotiate. So that way you can move on to bigger projects. Now, one thing that I want to pause real quick is you had talked about the calculator, because some people don't know how much they should invest. And I remember when you and I had first met about FreeeUp, you had like this whole entire chart broken out by different job titles. So do you want to expand a little bit more on that calculator? And then I'll look for the actual calculator on the site and I'll drop it in the comments.
Yeah, so it's just outsourceschool.com/VA calculator. And it's designed for you to just plug in the information in your business, how much you're making, and it'll show you how many VAs you can afford. It'll say, hey, you can afford 4 full-time VAs or 2 part-time VAs or whatever it is. And if anyone here actually does join Outsource School, and if you go to outsourceschool.com, you can book a call with someone on my team and see if our processes are the right fit for your business. We have so many things to make it easy for you. I mean, first of all, we have a rate sheet that breaks down what you should pay for every single VA position out there. We have job postings for every single position out there. We have playbooks on how to hire for every potential role, and we come out with new ones every single month. And most importantly, we have our exact interview process, the same process that we've used for years to hire all of our VAs. When we go into a company, we make them use that hiring process. It spits out great virtual assistants 99.9% of the time. And it's everything from the exact interview questions to ask, the exact onboarding questions to ask, how to run meetings, how to create the SOPs, all of it broken down for you to just plug into your business or to give to someone else in your business. And for people watching live, we have a Valentine's Day promo. I think it runs till next Wednesday or something, to get 25% off of our yearly membership.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay. See, this is what I was telling you guys. Is it, Nathan, the fact that you're able to take all of these processes, bundle it together, and then offer it to entrepreneurs who are just like, okay, 2021 is the year for me to level up. I think this is a game changer. So they could easily just go over to outsourceschool.com, find that promo. It's right there at the very top. Use code BeMyValentine, right? So Caleb, Johnny, everyone that's tuning in right now, if this is something that you want to go after, take advantage of it, right? Take advantage of it. Nathan, there's this, one of my friends, she was asking about like a VA, and she's like, does anyone have a job description for yada, yada, yada? You have job descriptions, right? You have like a whole catalog of them that they could pull from.
Yeah. So I try to get people out of the mentality where they're like, oh, all VAs on Upwork are bad, or all VAs on FreeeUp are good, or anything like that. It's got to be, do you have a great hiring process? Because if you have a great hiring process, then it just becomes, what are the pros and cons of all these different platforms? And you can pick what pros and cons are actually important to you, which is different for every entrepreneur. But if you don't have a hiring process, then you're just picking random marketplaces and crossing your fingers and hoping that you get someone. You need to have that good hiring process. And if you don't think that you can hire virtual assistants for high-level roles, go to outsourceschool.com, book a call with my Rockstar VA team. They speak perfect English. They love Outsource School. They'll answer all your questions. Like, these are the highest level virtual assistants that you'll ever find. And we're going to show you the exact step-by-step process to get the same quality VAs into your business.
Yes, everyone. I hope you see these comments too, Nathan. I know I put you on the spot where you're answering the questions, but let me tell you, Caleb, Mike Alton, Johnny, Amanda, who's actually already interviewing 2 VAs this week. She's like, I need this in my life. Amanda, Valentine's Day special, right? So take advantage of that now. The code is Be My Valentine. And Amanda, something else that you're just popping in now, so I don't know if you heard this earlier, but there is a VA calculator that Nathan was just talking about. Let me go ahead and find that link for you, and I'll put this on here. And
it's just outsourceschool.com/VA calculator.
There it is. There it is, right there for you. And so I love the fact that with Outsource School, you also get that top-notch support. What are kind of questions that our viewers can ask your support team?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great one right here that Mitch just threw in. Like, can you hire by the hour, 20 hours a month, monthly? Yeah, I mean, you can definitely hire part-time VAs. Here's kind of my mentality there. If your business can afford it, and not every business can, hiring full-time VAs that are exclusive to you is the way to go. Like, that's by far the best way. We have VAs like Anna and Kat who do our live calls, who do our coaching calls. They're full-time. They're exclusive to us. That's the best way. With that said, I've started 3 businesses with $5,000 or less, and I definitely didn't start off hiring full-time VAs. I hired part-time VAs and I increased their hours. And it got to a point sometimes where I was like, hey, you're a rock star. I want you full-time exclusive to me. What will it take for you to drop your other clients and work just for me? And some of them came back and said, give me $1 raise, give me a $2 raise. Boom. Best decision I ever made. It's a no-brainer. So
what? Wow.
The goal is to get everyone full-time exclusive, but I don't want people to think that that's the only way to go about it.
Yeah. Amanda is absolutely loving this right now. See, I told you. Nathan was totally going to crush it on this show. Great timing. Nathan, here's a question for you. Pam is saying she is a VA. She's wondering if you have an agency where she can apply to be hired. Is that something that you provide as well, or is like a closed market for you?
I don't own a VA agency. FreeeUp's a marketplace. I don't own FreeeUp anymore. You're welcome to apply on FreeeUp. But yeah, I mean, we're more on the client side than the VA side now.
Nice. And so we also have Frank saying, wow, this is awesome. And John, who I feel like we have him at the tipping point because he's saying, I've been doing this solo for 18 years, 18 years solo. I wish I would have done this sooner. First step is to get my processes in place first. Do you have any advice on that, on how people should get their processes in place? Because I feel like that's like the first misstep. If you don't have that, right, then it's going to make that onboarding process a lot longer. So what would you have to say for that?
Yeah, I mean, we spent years trying to figure out systems and processes, and you can kind of go through it trial and error. I mean, that's really why we built Outsource School, where it's like, hey, you can build your own process, or you can just grab our processes and plug them into your business. Or if there's something that we can't teach you, you get our SOP templates, you get our SOP software. We build a custom software called Simply SOP. You can check it out on simplysop.com, or if you join Outsource School, we just give it free to you for free as a bonus. But there's lots of things out there to kind of make it easier. For me, you either have to dive into it or you need to kind of get those systems from someone else.
Got it. I love this. Okay. Amanda's saying that this is very helpful, isn't it? Perfect timing, because she is in the middle of interviewing 2 people. So for those of you that are just joining in, we're talking about outsourcing your roles so that way you could grow your channel faster by having a virtual assistant, basically pretty much building a team. And not only that though, but having the SOPs, having the resources, everything that you really need is available for you at Outsource School, because Nathan and his team have done a fantastic job. But before we go on, I want to give a quick shout out over to RESTREAM, who is helping us power up this show. So if you haven't heard of RESTREAM, here you go. All right. Okay. This is so much fun. I don't know if you could see all of the comments, Nathan, but
I can
people are
see them.
yeah, they're going gaga over. They are super happy about Outsource School. And there's one comment that just came in from our dear friend Mitch. And his comment is, does Outsource School teach us how to hire VAs, and or will it also connect us with VAs?
Yes, we definitely teach you how to hire VAs. That's the whole purpose why we build Outsource School. I mean, you get our exact hiring process, the same process that we use to hire VAs for our 8-figure business and multiple other 6- and 7-figure businesses that we've had. We don't own a VA agency or a VA marketplace anymore, so the VAs don't come from us. But if you become a member and you're like, hey, I got your system down, can you help me get a VA? We can connect you with one of our partners to make that happen.
Got it. Great. Here's another question for you. Is that when you are hiring a VA, what are the steps? What are the steps? Should you just create a list first, create a job description first? I mean, obviously you have this in Outsource School, but give them a little teaser because I know that they're already looking at Outsource School right now.
Yeah, so there's 4 parts, and we teach these at the Outsource School: interviewing, onboarding, training, and managing. That's really what it comes down to. The interview is to see if they're a good fit. The onboarding is to set expectations. The training is about creating SOPs and getting them to prove that they can handle it in a short period of time as possible. And then managing is meetings, bonuses, raises, all the stuff that goes along with motivating them and dealing with issues. Now, there is some stuff before the interviewing. That's stuff like the VA calculator, figuring out your budget, listing out all the tasks and dividing them up into the followers, the doers, and the experts, understanding the different levels, stuff that we've talked about, but we also kind of go through this again at the beginning of Outsource School.
Yeah. And so something that I found really interesting on outsourceschool.com was that you actually have a Facebook group. So what happens in the Facebook group? Do you have like monthly meetings, or how does that function?
Yeah, so our group is awesome. It's incredibly active. People are posting questions there every day, either questions about their own VA situations or their next hire or their content that they've kind of gone through at Outsource School. We post updates there all the time, giving people advice based on our information. What's kind of cool is we're building Outsource School using VAs, using the exact same processes that we're teaching people. So like when we just hired a new sales VA, we interviewed that VA and we released the video of us interviewing that VA into the group so our members could see how we did it, and then they could actually talk to that VA. And we do live calls once a week, led by one of our VAs. I join once a month, but she's a rock star. She knows all of our processes and she teaches it. And you can join our live calls and directly ask us questions there. So that's kind of your access to Connor and myself and the other great entrepreneurs and my team inside of our group.
You're like scaling consultants. I love this. So what about like here's a question that most people have. It's like, well, what if I hire a VA and it doesn't work out? Do you help them overcome conflict, like how to get the VA on the right track if they messed up the first time, or how to nicely let go of a VA? Because some people are just like, oh, I don't want to be mean, but it's like, dude, it's your business, it's your budget, so you got to stretch that budget and make it work. What's your advice for that?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different things. First of all, we teach you how to recognize whether the VA is going to be an A player early on, because you want to know that in week 1, not in month 3. So you can make decisions earlier on, which saves you time, saves you money. Second, we teach you how to turn VA issues around. We're very good at it. Can you turn around every possible VA issue? Of course not, but we have a pretty good track record. So we have a system and process that will show you. And if you have a custom situation, you can post it in our group and you'll get responses from Connor and I on exactly how to handle it step by step. And then lastly, if you do need to fire a VA, you don't want to just wake up one day and say, hey, I got to fire Bob, I don't know what to do. We give you an exact checklist that you go through. The VA's fired, you inform your team, and you move on. And it makes it very cut and dry and easy. And we're there to guide you with any variation of anything I just talked about along the way.
And I'm pretty sure that you also guide them, like when you're letting go of a VA, here are safety measures, like reclaiming your passwords, all of that stuff. Have you ever had anyone that just like, oh my God, they took over, they stole my channel or whatever? Were you able to help them with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people who thought their VA would hurt them, or their VA maybe said something or implied something, and we helped them resolve that with no issue. I mean, to be honest, I've never had a serious issue like that actually affected my business. And even with clients at FreeeUp, like we were billing 18,000 hours a week and nothing serious ever happened. And I'm sure if we build enough hours, or I work with enough VAs or enough people, like eventually something will happen. But the percentage is so small. And we teach you how to be proactive, which is the solution to everything. But also, if something does happen, how to handle it in the best possible way to minimize that risk as well.
I love it. So, hey, you guys, we're about to wind down on the show. So if you have any questions, this is the time, because as you already know, Nathan is a very, very busy man. He has multiple companies that he's running as well as a team. It's also Lunar New Year. So I don't know if you celebrate that.
Yeah. Happy Chinese New Year's. My fiance is Vietnamese, so we have been celebrating that.
There you go. Yeah. Because I was like, hey, we're doing this on Lunar New Year. All right. That's awesome. Let's talk about pricing and why this pricing makes sense, right? There's a monthly and there's a yearly. Think of all the time and effort it's going to take for you to try to create those descriptions all by yourself. And you may realize, like, crap, that's not what I actually wanted. So let's talk about the benefits of this, Nathan. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, we're actually doubling our prices in March, and monthly people won't have access to everything that the yearly people will. So some changes coming. Our Valentine's Day promo is kind of your last chance to get in at a great rate. It'll be $19.97 for the year to get access to everything, or $197 a month to just get access to the training plus email support. So you won't get access to our software group, stuff like that. That's a change that's coming soon. But yeah, I mean, everything we do, and you know this from FreeeUp, like we're only interested in taking your money if we're going to drastically help your business. If we don't help you, we're just going to refund you. Like we're at the point of our entrepreneurial careers where, and that's kind of always how we've done it. So everything here is designed to teach you how to do it the fastest way possible. We don't want you doing 4-hour interviews. We want you doing 20 to 30-minute interviews and know that you're going to have a rock star. Same thing with onboarding. Same thing with creating SOPs. I just saw that in there. If you get our software, Simply SOP, not only do all of our SOPs, like how to get on podcasts, do lead generation, do bookkeeping, customer service, sales, all of those are preloaded in there. And we release a new one every month. But there's also templates in there where if you have a custom system, because Stephanie, I'm sure you have systems that I don't know how to do, but you can quickly plug those in following all the templates that are already preloaded into the software. You're no volume.
Thank you. So about these templates, are these templates that like live on Google Sheets, Google Docs? Do you import them into Asana? Do you import them into ClickUp?
They are on our software, Simply SOP.
Oh.
They're also in Kajabi. So if you want to take them and move them over to Asana or ClickUp, you're welcome to do it. That's easy. And we even have an SOP, how to build SOPs that you get access to, which breaks it down and makes it easy for you to create your own system.
That's very cool. I am looking at simplysop.com right now. Is it okay if I share it with them?
Yeah,
is that cool with you? Okay. So while I share this with the crew, if you have any other questions, please go ahead and pop them into the comments because we are about to wind down. This is for you, Amanda. Simply SOP. Is that Connor again?
Yeah, that's Connor. He's the one with hair.
Okay. So recording your training videos, add text to your processes, share with your team. So it replaces Google Drive, Trello, and Airtable. I mean, this looks pretty slick. And it looks like you could also book a demo. Anything else that you want to add for it?
No, I mean, so when we sold FreeeUp, we turned over, it must have been like 250 pages of Google Docs and Vimeo videos. And it was just a mess. So when we sold it, we were like, all right, we need to create a software for storing SOPs for our own business. And then we started to give that out to other people. So if you do join Outsource School with the V-Day promo, you get Simply SOP included. You get unlimited, which is like the highest tier there. Or if you're just interested in Simply SOP, you can get that separately.
Yes. Okay. All right. Friends, see, I knew that you were going to love this episode because this is one of those things. When we started the show, Nathan, because we were talking about how to repurpose your content, a lot of the content creators were like, but I don't have time. I was like, I didn't say you had to do it. I was like, I didn't say you had to do it. Go get your VA, have them figure it out, right? Like for me, I know when I'm repurposing video, especially this one, I just download it, put it in Descript, and then the executive assistant runs with it. And then everything just follows through through in Asana. But I mean, this Valentine's Day special, knowing that you guys also do group support, you could ask you questions. I mean, I feel like for those of you that really want to scale up, then this is the moment. Are there any last things that you want to share with the crew about Outsource School? Or what's next?
I think we wrapped it up. I encourage everyone to go on the site and book a call with my Rockstar VA. You can see how awesome they are. And if anyone has any questions, they're happy to answer them as well.
All right. So last comment over here, we have Pamela. She's saying, thanks. She's going to check out FreeeUp as well. And then that's it. So Amanda is already starting the free trial. Amanda, I'm going to be right there with you because I feel like this is game changer. Amanda and I are actually a part of a mastermind together. And we've always been talking about like, hey, I'm doing this. And she's like, how do you have the time? And I was like, girl, I'm in the middle of school and all this other stuff. I just forward it off to my VA. And I feel like having you and Connor in my back pocket, you will call me out on my BS and just be like, Stephanie, stop doing that. Like, oh, you want to read?
Very accurate.
Yeah, it'll just be like, oh, I really want to do this new podcast. You're like, okay, so what are you letting go? I feel like having someone who's going to be like, okay, and then what? You know, like hold me accountable. I think that's going to be super duper important. Here's one last question, and this is for you. What has been the range of tasks your VAs cover in growing your business? I'm going to let you take this.
Yeah, I mean, everything from data entry, customer service, all the way to sales calls and live coaching calls in our group and everything in between. So there's really no limit. And we've got the exact playbooks for how to hire for almost every role. We also take requests inside our group. So if you become a member and you're like, hey, I want to hire for this role and for some reason we don't have it, we're going to get that to you. So we're trying to build it out. So we have systems for hiring any role that you can imagine inside your business.
I love that. Okay. Miguel's asking for the URL again. There's the URL. So outsourceschool.com. There's the calculator too, if you want to go ahead and give that a shot. The question for you is, do these SOPs and everything, does this only work for VAs that are abroad, or does it work for VAs that are local as well?
It even works for US employees. We've got members who will take our templates and just give it to their US employees or use our meeting templates. Like, it doesn't have to be VAs, but I mean, the bottom line is you can hire VAs for $5 to $10 an hour for high level roles. And if you don't want to do that, or you don't want to hire from the Philippines and you want to hire from Colombia or India or the US or Canada, like all the same systems still apply.
Yes. See, I'm just all of a sudden in my brain, Nathan, I was like, where are the HR people? I'm so happy that this is actually going out to LinkedIn, because now I'm just going to tag all the HR people and the agencies that I've ever worked with. Miguel is asking the URL. Here's the URL. John is asking for what the code is. It's Be My Valentine. So you guys, if you want to get cozy with a VA, head on over to outsourceschool.com. Use the promo code Be My Valentine. And then when you join, you will have Connor and Nathan in your back pocket to really help you scale and grow your business. Any last words, Nathan? I feel like you crushed it.
I appreciate you having me on. Have a great weekend. Happy New Year. And thanks for everyone watching.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much. Again, if you want to contact Nathan, you could head on over to the website. You could find him over there, or you could find his amazing team, his VAs, and they'll take care of you. So having said that, we'll go ahead and say bye, everyone. Bye.